Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of the Generational Wealth Management Saturday Morning Look Back Show. Andy, this is episode number 10 of the season already. We're 10 weeks through the District 9 and District 10 football season already, and it's been a heck of a year already.
It's been one heck of a year. The playoffs are coming next week. There's so many amazing moments this year, so many amazing games, stories, and it kind of culminated here in week 10, with some really fantastic stuff, some games we're going to touch on here. But yeah, it's hard to believe. I know we say it every show, but it's just, and talking to people at the game I was at last night, it seems like it goes by so quick.
Yeah, it really does. But before we dive into that, let's take a minute and play all of our sponsors that help bring this Saturday Morning Look Back Show to you.
Whether retirement is just around the corner or years away, John Bongiovanni, Lucas Slazak, and Adam Jack of Generational Wealth Management in Erie and Bradford are here for you. John, a Forbes-recognized best-in-state wealth advisor, Lucas and Adam provide customized investment advisory solutions and retirement planning services. Generational Wealth Management offers world-class investment services and internationally recognized insurance products from Northwestern Mutual, an industry leader. The Generational Wealth Management team provides a high level of expertise and service to their professional and business clients. Contact the Erie office at 814-651-0838 or the Bradford office at 814-368-4065 or check them out online at gwm.nm.com. Looking for affordable auto, home, and life insurance? Look no further than Allstate Insurance, the David Jones Agency in Clarion and Meadville. At the David Jones Agency, you get personalized attention from someone who lives where you do. The David Jones Agency meets you where you are. They are available during regular business hours Monday through Friday at their office, via appointment at the office after hours, or remotely. The David Jones Agency also offers investment opportunities, including annuities and IRAs. The David Jones Agency can be reached in Clarion at 814-223-4000 and in Meadville at 814-337-5107.
With convenient locations in DuBois, Ridgeway, St. Mary's, and Warren, you don't have to travel far to get your game-winning smile with Cole Orthodontic Associates. The orthodontists of Cole Orthodontic Associates have been crafting beautiful, healthy smiles in north central Pennsylvania since 1960. Born and raised in the area, the doctors and staff at Cole Orthodontic Associates are committed to the people of this region. Visit colesmiles.net to schedule an appointment or consultation at the location nearest you today.
Allegheny Electric Service of St. Mary's has been providing industrial and commercial electrical solutions for over 35 years. They offer complete design, build, installation, and maintenance of automated systems for a variety of industries. Allegheny Electric designs and installs wiring and lighting for any size project, big or small. And when you find yourself in a jam, they'll get your machine or facility back up and running in no time. Call Allegheny Electric Service at 814-781-1940 or visit AlleghenyElectric.com. When it's your special day, we know you want everything to be just perfect. That's why at the Allegheny Grill in Foxburg, we spared no expense in creating our new indoor-outdoor wood-framed event center with waterfalls, gorgeous views of the Allegheny River, a fire pit, and plenty of parking. The Allegheny Grill in Foxburg will take care of everything from catering to bartending, so all you have to do is bring the fun. We do it all for your wedding, anniversary party, corporate event, and so much more. One look at our new facility and we know you'll fall in love. And remember, the view is always free at the Allegheny Grill in Foxburg, PA.
Specialty Fabrication and Powder Coating LLC is family owned and operated out of Franklin, PA. SFPC is actively seeking new talent and has openings at 2 plants located in Venango County. Those openings are either first, second, or third shifts at one or both locations. Check out the specific enrollment opportunities at www.specfab.com or send an email along with your resume to careers@specfab.com. SFPC is an equal opportunity employer.
Are you sick of all the madness and hassle of traditional fundraisers? Well, then let us give you a big, warm welcome to the Tap and Pay Plus fundraising app. Thanks to Tap and Pay Plus, it's now easy for your team or group to gain online donations from supporters anywhere. Simply shop, earn, and support the team every single day. Learn more about our simple and easy fundraising app at www.tapandpayplus.com.
Big thanks to all the sponsors that help bring the show to you. Andy, let's start off with the big game that everyone kind of had circled on their calendars in District 9. We had a pair of undefeated teams, 9-0 versus 9-0 in Central Clarion, Red Bank Valley.
Yeah, and again, Jared, I'll defer to you a lot in this one since you had the fortune of being at that game. But everyone, and listen, like it really meant not a lot in terms of playoff implications, but it was more of a, as we kind of talked about too, more of a bragging rights type game. And it was a game that everyone had circled. People, not just, at Red Bank Valley and Central Clarion, but people I think throughout District 9 kind of had this one circled on their calendars. And it was a bragging rights game. It was kind of a measuring stick type game. And really, at the end of the day, probably more of a defensive game than a lot of people thought it would be. I think people looked at the numbers these offenses were putting up and thought, oh, here we go. It's going to be another shootout like it was last year. And it really didn't play out like that.
Yeah, it was really a big defensive game, I thought. And I want to touch on also how awesome the atmosphere was at that game. So big kudos to Red Bank Valley for hosting an awesome event. Like, I got there about 6 and had to park on the opposite side of the school because there were so many people there. And, you know, as you're walking up to the stadium, you could just feel the electricity and energy that's at that game. And I can imagine what the players are like, because I think they all knew that the writing on the wall. They knew this was a big game. Everyone was coming to watch that. I ran into people from St. Mary's, from old players from Clarion, old players from Red Bank. Like, everyone, it just seemed like a big homecoming party for everyone. And it was packed there. There was people lined up on the fence the whole way around. But defensively, it was definitely a defensive game. You know, I was one of those persons that was kind of thinking that it was going to be a high scoring shootout type of game. But then I also had in the back of mind, like, you know, this is going to be like a low scoring 21 type game, 21-14 type of game. And I think the score kind of doesn't reflect how close the game actually was, because the game was close for the most part. It was, I think, Red Bank was, or Central Clarion was only up a score at halftime, and Red Bank Valley just kind of had a couple mistakes that kind of favored in Central Clarion's way, because they were able to capitalize on those turnovers that they had. They had a fumble. Red Bank had a fumble and an interception that led to Clarion scores, and that kind of was icing on the cake there. But for the most part, they were neck and neck the whole game. Like, Red Bank was making stops, Central Clarion was making stops. The big stop was at the beginning of the game, and it was a 4th and goal at the 1 yard line, and Central Clarion was able to stop Red Bank there. So both defenses really showed up in this game, and I think a lot of people in Red Bank and Central Clarion were probably surprised with how little scoring there was in the first and second quarters for both their teams. Because, like, I even asked someone, I was like, "Is this the least amount of points you guys have scored in the first quarter all year?" And like, yeah. But as you alluded to, like, as a measuring stick game, like, this is probably the first big game that these teams have both had this whole regular season, because you obviously know, like, Central Clarion's averaging like 60-some points a game, and Red Bank Valley is kind of the same. They're up in the 50s points per game. And I think that, I don't know if it kind of, I don't know. It was just cool, kind of cool to see that a defensive game out of that.
Yeah, and it's funny how often that happens too when you have two offenses, kind of high-powered offenses meet, and the defense is kind of, and people don't. I think people look at the offensive numbers, but yeah, both of these teams have been excellent defensively this year, and I think probably each coaching staff too. You wanted to see that, going into the playoffs, you want to see your defense step up against an elite offense, and that's what both these defenses have the opportunity to do tonight. But as you alluded to, in a game like this, it's a 4th down stop here. It's a turnover there. It's a special teams play there that can kind of swing the momentum, of a game. And I think we kind of saw that play out in this one.
Yeah, for sure. And I think this was definitely a good win for Central Clarion too, because that's Red Bank's probably one of the most explosive offense we had. We kind of talked about that in the show last week, how they have just so many different weapons on there on offense with Ashton Kale, Ashton George, Mason Klaus out there, and they really contained them pretty well last night. And I thought that was a bigger point for Central Clarion than it was their offensive game. And I think Jace Ferguson had a really good offensive game, and the whole offensive line really had a good offensive game. I don't know how many rushing yards they had, but they ran the ball pretty well. And at one point in the drive, I think Jace Ferguson had all the carries the whole way through, and they just kind of ran the same play the whole way down the field. But I think the defense was definitely the big story of this game.
Yeah, it was for sure. And it was a game for the Lions too, as we'll get to the interview with Central Clarion's Jake Smith here shortly. But he kind of talked about that as well, and how much fun it is for these guys. And listen, and I'm as guilty of this as anyone. We often don't give the lines, especially on elite offenses, the recognition they deserve. And any great offense, any great defense, it starts up front. Anyone who knows football kind of knows that. But yet those guys seem to get the least amount of accolades. But it was really, I think, a game in many ways, for those guys last night. And kudos to them.
Yeah, both lines in the whole game, I think, were really stepped up, and I even heard like their post game talking, like coaches talking to them, that a lot of people stepped up on offense and defense for them on the line. So, kudos to our linemen on both teams there. But let's take a look at what Jake Smith from Central Clarion had to say about the game.
The game, it is Jake Smith, the center for the Central Clarion Wildcats. Our player of the game brought to you by the Allegheny Grill in Foxburg, where you come for the food and you stay for the view. It's now time for our Cole Orthodontic Associates post-game interview. Player interviews this year are brought to you by Cole Orthodontic Associates with the convenient locations in Ridgeway, St. Mary's, and Warren. You can get your game-winning smile with Cole Orthodontic Associates. And Jake, I'm sure there's a lot of happy smiles right now on the Central Clarion sideline coming in. 2 undefeated teams. Only one of you is going to be standing at the end, and it's you guys. What does it feel like to go through the regular season 10-0?
Feels amazing. Last year, went 9-0 through the first 9 weeks and lost here to Red Bank, and they ruined our perfect season.
Was that talked about at all this week?
Yes, all week long. Coach's pregame speech all about last year. We waited 364 days to come out here and change that.
This was the slugfest that I think you guys were expecting and probably maybe even wanted. What was it finally like to get into a football game where it is sitting 14-14 midway through the third quarter?
It's amazing. Close games are my favorite, personally, because then the adrenaline just never stops. In those big blowout wins, it's just kind of boring at the end, honestly.
I thought that going in, and some people asked me today, I happened to sub over at the Career Center. There was some Central Clarion players. There was a couple Red Bank cheerleaders asked me what I thought. And I said I thought that the difference might come down to the offensive lines.
Yeah.
And you guys were able to really control the line of scrimmage. When they were maybe taking away your passing game, you guys went to the run. Talk about how you felt you guys up front played today.
I feel like we played probably our best game of the season. Our scout team D-line this week got us overly prepared to this game.
What were the keys to opening up? I mean, did you think coming in you were going to have to run the ball, or was that something that just happened as the game went along?
I mean, we thought that at some point we were going to have to resort to it just because of their amazing athletes that they have on the team. But we were going to try to throw the ball, and obviously it didn't work, so we just had to go to the run.
So something I want to talk to you about, because it can't be necessarily easy. You have a quarterback in Jace Ferguson, who normally when a high school quarterback starts scrambling around, he's going to take off and run. And so you as an offensive lineman know you can get downfield and block. But you know that Jace is going to throw the ball, and you don't want to get an illegal man downfield call on you guys. How much do you have to practice that?
A lot. We pregame everything, no matter what. Coach Egg has done an amazing job this year.
What is it like playing with the skill players that you guys have around you?
It's amazing because we know that any given day, any given athlete could give us a big game. And tonight, I feel like Tommy Smith gave us a big game.
As you guys head into the playoffs, obviously goal number one is to win a second straight District 9 title. What do you guys have to do to accomplish that?
Just keep working hard every day in practice. Our scout team, man, they've just done amazing this year in giving us looks all week long. If they keep that up and we keep practicing as hard as we do every day, I feel like we have a very good chance at doing it again.
Yeah, I also want to touch on real quick before we move on to the next game that even in the offensive line did a really good job of protecting Jace whenever he went back to throw, because I remember seeing like he had so much time in the pocket, and even he scrambled around a couple times, he was still able to find guys like Tommy Smith and Dawson Smale downfield, and there were a couple big gains that he had just from that offensive line protection.
Yeah, no question. And I love Jake Smith, giving a shout out to his scout team there. That's parts of football teams that you don't hear about a lot, especially not on game days, but those JV guys, those guys that get you ready in practice. And I think that's the mark of a great team too, having your starters kind of recognize that and what a good job those guys behind you to do. Maybe the JV level that help you prepare for games like this. So big shout out to them, and I'm glad Jake recognized that. That was awesome.
Yeah, and speaking of the playoffs too, one of the games that we saw this week, I think Karn City was able to get a big win over Mount Union, 34-19, and that was a game that Karn City needed to win to become playoff eligible, and I think they're going to be going to the playoffs with a matchup against Brookville in the two-way playoffs.
Yeah, again, I think that Mount Union's a good football team. I don't think that's a game that maybe some people expected Karn City to win, but not everyone expected Karn City to win. And I do want to touch on this briefly. I mean, that Karn City football program, it's been through so much this year. So to see them get a win like that, become playoff eligible, that's awesome. That's one heck of a win.
Yeah, and other scores, were there any other games in District 9 that kind of stood out to you?
I do want to touch on a couple. Keystone obviously beating Montauk. I feel like Keystone's played very well the second half of the season. Clearfield, a big win over Chestnut Ridge. I think that's a big time win for Clearfield over a good Chestnut Ridge team. Shout out, Jared, to your alma mater, Kerwinsville, getting a win last night over Tussey Mountain. Brookville keeps rolling 35-6 over Ridgeway. And last, I want to touch on the Bradford Owls, because this was a program that came into the year on a lengthy losing streak. Obviously didn't win a game last year, and they have 4 wins this year, and that's a big leap, and there's a lot to be said for that. So shout out to the Bradford Owls as well.
Yeah, that's about the same I got. I think everything else kind of went as expected. Punxsutawney with the 33-0 win over Union. Port Allegheny with a big win. I do want to shout out Port Allegheny. They had Aiden Bliss and Peyton Stiles both went over 1,000 rushing yards, and I believe someone messaged me and said that was a school record for having 2 1,000-yard rushers in the same season.
Yeah, and I've seen, back in my times as an early reporter for Bradford, I got to cover of course, they went to state semifinals last year, but back in 2013, I believe it was, I'm dating myself, when they went to the state semifinals, it was it was a passing offense. And this program under Justin Bianca, they can throw the football. But this is a team that's led by its offensive line, its running game, and shout out to them. And they're not going to be an easy out in the playoffs. And congratulations to those guys for setting that mark.
Yeah, I think the 1A playoffs are going to be pretty interesting to see how that all unfolds. But let's take a break. We'll play our sponsors again, and then we'll get into some District 10 stuff.
Whether retirement is just around the corner or years away, John Bongiovanni, Lucas Slazak, and Adam Jack of Generational Wealth Management in Erie and Bradford are here for you. John, a Forbes-recognized best-in-state wealth advisor, Lucas and Adam provide customized investment advisory solutions and retirement planning services. Generational Wealth Management offers world-class investment services and internationally recognized insurance products from Northwestern Mutual, an industry leader. The Generational Wealth Management team provides a high level of expertise and service to their professional and business clients. Contact the Erie office at 814-651-0838 or the Bradford office at 814-368-4065 or check them out online at gwm.nm.com. Looking for affordable auto, home, and life insurance? Look no further than Allstate Insurance, the David Jones Agency in Clarion and Meadville. At the David Jones Agency, you get personalized attention from someone who lives where you do. The David Jones Agency meets you where you are. They are available during regular business hours, Monday through Friday at their office, via appointment at the office after hours, or remotely. The David Jones Agency also offers investment opportunities, including annuities and IRAs. The David Jones Agency can be reached in Clarion at 814-223-4000 and in Meadville at 814-337-5107.
With convenient locations in DuBois, Ridgeway, St. Mary's, and Warren, you don't have to travel far to get your game-winning smile with Cole Orthodontic Associates. The orthodontists of Cole Orthodontic Associates have been crafting beautiful, healthy smiles in north central Pennsylvania since 1960. Born and raised in the area, the doctors and staff at Cole Orthodontic Associates are committed to the people of this region. Visit colesmiles.net to schedule an appointment or consultation at the location nearest you today.
Allegheny Electric Service of St. Mary's has been providing industrial and commercial electrical solutions for over 35 years. They offer complete design, build, installation, and maintenance of automated systems for a variety of industries. Allegheny Electric designs and installs wiring and lighting for any size project, big or small. And when you find yourself in a jam, they'll get your machine or facility back up and running in no time. Call Allegheny Electric Service at 814-781-1940 or visit AlleghenyElectric.com. When it's your special day, we know you want everything to be just perfect. That's why at the Allegheny Grill in Foxburg, we spared no expense in creating our new indoor-outdoor wood-framed event center with waterfalls, gorgeous views of the Allegheny River, a fire pit, and plenty of parking. The Allegheny Grill in Foxburg will take care of everything from catering to bartending, so all you have to do is bring the fun. We do it all for your wedding, anniversary party, corporate event, and so much more. One look at our new facility and we know you'll fall in love. And remember, the view is always free at the Allegheny Grill in Foxburg, PA.
Specialty Fabrication and Powder Coating LLC is family owned and operated out of Franklin, PA. SFPC is actively seeking new talent and has openings at 2 plants located in Venango County. Those openings are either first, second, or third shifts at one or both locations. Check out the specific enrollment opportunities at www.specfab.com or send an email along with your resume to careers@specfab.com. SFPC is an equal opportunity employer.
Are you sick of all the madness and hassle of traditional fundraisers? Well, then let us give you a big, warm welcome to the Tap and Pay Plus fundraising app. Thanks to Tap and Pay Plus, it's now easy for your team or group to gain online donations from supporters anywhere. Simply shop, earn, and support the team every single day. Learn more about our simple and easy fundraising app at www.tapandpayplus.com.
Another big thanks to all of our sponsors. Andy, you want to get into your game that you were at last night?
I do, Jared. It was an intriguing one. A matchup you don't see very often in District 10. Class 2A Farrell, really Class 1A, but they're in 2A because of the success formula. Playing Class 5A powerhouse Cathedral Prep. Before I get into it, kudos to both of these teams for agreeing to this game. They could have very easily taken their bye and gone into the playoffs, but no, they wanted to play this, and it was a 44-18 win for Cathedral Prep. Prep controlled the game, got out to a 21-0 lead. Farrell had no problems really though once they got settled, moving the ball up and down the field. Cabron Smith, their quarterback, threw for a lot of yards despite the loss. But really, I think Prep's offensive line kind of took control. Quarterback Luke Costello threw for 3 touchdowns, ran for another. RJ Roberts had 2 receiving touchdowns, also 2 interceptions on defense as well for the Ramblers, who again, and both these teams, if they wouldn't have played this game, would have had a double bye actually, because they both are off next week. With Cathedral Prep goes into a sub-regional with District 8 and District 6, but the District 8 for sure opted out, so they'll automatically advance there. And Farrell will have a bye in the first round of District 10 Class 2A playoffs. So, and it was interesting. We'll get into the interviews here in a second, but talking to Farrell coach Amp Pegues, that's a program that's not used to losing very often, and certainly not losing by that margin. But he was not. Obviously they wanted to win, so you're disappointed there. But he was not really disappointed in the effort and the execution from his team. Execution here and there, but just to give you a sense of how rare it is for Farrell to lose a game like that. But the last time they gave up that many points was in 2016 to Meadville, and that Meadville team was led by Journey Brown, who of course went on to Penn State. But really, more than anything, I think this was a game that that both these teams really circled as, hey, we want this game at the end of the regular season to get us ready for our respective playoff runs. Both these teams, PA Football News has Farrell as the number 1 2A team in the state coming into this week, so that gives you the kind of idea for the caliber of these programs, and just more than anything, it was an entertaining game in many respects, but big kudos to both of these programs for wanting to play this game.
Do you want to play the Farrell coach interview first or the Cathedral Prep interviews?
We'll start with Amp Pegues from Farrell, because I thought he had some very poignant, very interesting things to say about the game. So let's start with him, and then we'll get into the interviews with the Cathedral Prep players.
All right, sounds good.
The effort of your kids, they played hard all game. It was just, Cathedral Prep was just a little better.
Yeah, for sure. They're a well-oiled machine over there. There's a good program, and I'm proud of my guys. There was a point in the game where I really thought my guys were just going to pack it in and say, let's just take the butt whooping and get out of here. But they didn't. They hunkered down, and they fought to the end, you know what I mean? And that's the mark of a champion, When you can get in there with some adversity and keep fighting to the end, a lot of times you're going to come out on top. So I'm just proud of my guys.
I know this was a game and opponent you guys really wanted to play. What can you take away from tonight that can help you going forward?
A lot of things. A nice scheme that they ran on offense. A lot of size. Sometimes we're bigger than most people we play, but they got a lot of size, a lot of skill. And there's just a lot of things, the speed, effort, and how fast the game is, and how sharp the game is when you play against a bigger school like this, and something that we're not really used to seeing. Sometimes you play against some of the teams we play against, and you just kind of fight your way through the game to get through the game. But when you're playing against a team that's sharp, you got to be sharp yourself. You can't have the mistakes and the penalties, a couple bad snaps, and a couple picks, stuff like that. You learn from it, and the speed of the game is going to help you move forward.
How valuable is the next 10 days or so, seeing as you guys got the bye week, got some time to kind of process everything?
That's why we scheduled this game. Last year, we were off 3 weeks, and that's really tough. When we came back to play our playoff game, we played Seneca last year, and we were horrible. The score might not have said it, but we were horrible. And I don't like my kids having that much downtime. We were down 15 days last year, 10 days this year after playing a team like this. Any bumps and bruises, give the guys a couple days off. We can watch more film. Tweak some things we need to tweak. Obviously, right now, we don't know what's going to happen with Samir and Junior Andrada, so, we got a little more time to get those people to fill in those positions and learn some things they need to learn. But, we can take the 10 days off, but overall, I'm glad we played this game for sure.
Offensively, too, I know, 18 points, but you guys you moved the ball up and down the field. What did you see from the offense specifically that you liked tonight?
Yeah, we had our shots. We missed one touchdown here and stalled out a couple drives, but overall, when we can get going offensively and we stay sharp, we can be a really good team offensively. And obviously our defense is playing well. They just ran against one of these juggernaut teams, and that was really sharp tonight. But we played well tonight overall. The score might not say it, but just proud of my guys and their effort.
Is there, no one ever wants to come away with a loss, but is there value kind of having a game like this where it seems like a lot of things weren't going your way prior to getting to the playoffs?
For sure. There's no moral victories for us. We don't really believe in that, but this is one of the best learning experiences I could give these guys. If we would have just took this week off and stayed 9-0 and not play this game, they're not really learning nothing. We're off a bunch of days after. I wanted to get them in front of a good team, good program to show them that anything can happen on any given night. And if you don't bring your A game, you could be out of here. So just moving forward, going on to the playoffs, now is win or lose. You can't have those bad nights. I don't care who we play. But just to show that in front of those teams and try to show them what a good team looks like, and we got to be better, that's so valuable for us moving forward. And we're going to learn from this, and we're going to be better.
There's a lot of good points that he made there about, I think I'd rather, my kid, if I was a coach, I'd rather have a game where we can learn stuff rather than have, like he said, 3 weeks off, because that's just not good going into a game cold, especially after that many days off.
Oh, no question. And, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, Jared, but I think I might have mentioned in one of the shows the previous weeks, but, when Farrell played Sharon a couple weeks ago, it was on a Saturday night, and some of the Central Clarion coaches, they're scouting. There's a very good opportunity that those two teams could see each other down the road in the state playoffs. I know, you have Westinghouse out of District 8 and obviously Richland in District 6, but those four teams, I would say in the West, Farrell and Central Clarion are two of the four, and you want to talk about state title aspirations, they have them, and to Coach Peguese's point there, a game like that going forward is only going to help them.
Agreed. And so you were able to get interviews with R.J. Roberts and Luke Costello. What kind of game did those guys have?
So Luke Costello was very efficient passing the ball. Not a ton of yards. I mean, he was over 100 yards, but not a ton of yards. But threw 3 touchdown passes, and really, they were two just beautiful throws. Luke, obviously, Division I baseball commit, but he's a heck of a quarterback as well, and also had a 25-yard rushing touchdown. Kind of put the capper on the game for the Ramblers. And R.J. Roberts really did it on both sides of the ball for Prep tonight. Picked off Farrell quarterback Cabron Smith twice. And Cabron's a very good quarterback. He's not, that's not something that happens to him very often. And R.J. was also on the receiving end of 2 of those 3 Costello touchdown passes as well.
Let's see what those guys had to say about the game.
Our Cole Orthodontic Associates post-game interview. You can get your game-winning smile at Cole Orthodontics with convenient locations in Ridgeway, St. Mary's, and Warren.
18. Luke, what was it like coming down here and putting up a victory?
It's awesome. It's an electric atmosphere out here. Their fans are awesome. The atmosphere here is just amazing. We traveled really well, so it was good to see a lot of our fans. They were giving us momentum throughout the game. Defense played really well. Offense played good, so it was a really fun night for us.
Luke, did you see anything specifically that you thought you could take advantage of in the passing game tonight?
Yeah, I think throughout practice this week, we've been working so hard for our passing game, and I think tonight was kind of a statement game for our offense as a passing scheme, and we need to continue to do that throughout the playoffs because that's been the one missing piece, and it showed tonight.
And you used the run effectively, too, some third downs where you were keeping it yourself or handing it off. What was it? Was that balance making it easy for you?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you just got to keep the defense on their toes. You got to keep them guessing through everything. Like I said, our offensive line is so good, so athletic, so they can do whatever we want them to. Our running backs, we really have like a 3-4 headed monster back there. And by having them, it gives me confidence, and they know that I'm going to do my job and that I know that they're going to do their job. So it's confidence throughout the offense.
And building on that as well, what led you guys to be so effective, specifically on third downs tonight?
Yeah, I mean, that's honestly one of the biggest names of the game. If you can convert it on third down, it's going to put pressure on the clock, put pressure especially towards the end of the game. And we were able to do that, milk out the clock towards the end of the game, and it really helped us.
You guys went up 21-0 quickly. How important was that start?
Huge. And as an offense, the defense was getting a lot of big stops, so that was giving us momentum going out onto the field, and they were giving us good field position, which was great for us. So it was really a team game, and we played super well, and I'm super proud of our team.
And obviously, you guys will have the week off. But what does a good win like this do for you guys going into the playoffs?
Definitely confidence, momentum. I would say is the two biggest words. Like I said, we have a week off. We're going to be able to come back from a couple injuries that we had, maybe this game or last, and just build off that. But we should hopefully have a couple good weeks in practice, and then whoever we play, put it to them and have a good game.
Prep football, you scored 2 touchdowns, you picked off 2 passes. What was it like coming down here getting the win tonight?
I mean, it felt great. We came in a week practicing, having the energy, effort at practice, just working hard. We know we could win, and we came out and showed it.
Specifically on your 2 interceptions, what'd you see? How were you able to read the passes?
It's just defense doing it. Everybody's doing their parts. Set me up for the right play, and I jumped it, got the pick.
Your offense was really working tonight. You guys had the ground game going, and you were effective in the passing game. Where were you trying to attack Farrell's secondary?
It's just our quarterback and our O-line. O-line giving our quarterback time to read. Luke made some wonderful reads and found me on some good passes to be able to score on 2 of them.
How you guys jumped out to a big early lead, 21-0. How important was that tonight?
It was very important. We had trust in each other. Offense had trust in defense that they was going to get stops, and then defense had trust in offense to come down and score.
And you in the defensive secondary, now you almost looked like a center fielder in baseball. And against such a good offense, how were you able to sneak out their passes and sniff them out?
It's just scouting. We came in the game knowing he looks at his number 1 target, and whatever way he looks, that's where he's going. So just scouting and watching film.
Good. All right, appreciate it.
Good interviews by those guys. I think another game that we had, the Eisenhower game. That's where Brian was at last night.
Yes, he was. Eisenhower and don't look now, but District 10 Class A. Eisenhower has now won 4 in a row coming into the postseason. They're going to enter the playoffs at 7-3. Big win over Girard last night. This is a team that's playing some really good football, and I think everyone's kind of thought that Cambridge Springs and Lakeview are kind of the 2 teams there in Class A. But don't sleep on this Eisenhower team. They were in the district championship game a year ago, and they're playing some very good football right now.
Sometimes the best playoff teams are the ones that are hot at the end of the regular season. So I think if you're coming in hot from the end of the season, I think they got the momentum coming into the playoffs.
Oh, there's no question. This is a team that really, they're kind of built for this time of year. It's a team and a program that's kind of built on, ground and pound, offense, stingy defense. Really take pride in the work they do up front, and it's not fancy football, but it's winning football.
Yeah, and it looks like Ryan was able to get an interview with Tucker Lindell. Let's see what he had to say about his game.
As you can see, our Allegheny Grill of Foxburg player of the game, Eisenhower, is Tucker Lindell. This is our Cole Orthodontic Associates player interview with convenient locations in Ridgeway, St. Mary's, and Warren. You can get your game-winning smile with Cole Orthodontic Associates. And Tucker, first of all, congratulations. Another hard-fought victory for you here tonight in the last game of the regular season.
Thank you.
How beneficial can having back-to-back games like these, last week against the Iroquois, tonight here against Girard, where you've got to really kind of battle all the way through to the end, get you guys ready for the playoffs?
It's a really good thing to have because if we have those battles now, we aren't lost, don't know what to do in the playoffs.
And it seemed like, kind of a back-and-forth start to offensively to start the game, and then you guys were able to get down the field a couple of big plays. What started clicking for you, especially in the ground game there late in the first half?
We made a couple mistakes, but as we started to figure things out and get the right guys blocked, we started to make plays, move the ball.
And then again, you were kind of all over the place making plays defensively. Obviously you scored a couple of touchdowns, but then defensively as a team, I think you guys, Cody said, had 5 sacks as a team. I know you were in on a couple of them there. But what were you seeing from the Girard offense that allowed you guys to attack and get in the backfield?
Well, our coach always games plans, always know when it's going to be a run, always know what's going to happen on a run, what's going to happen on a pass, know who to look at, just studying, and Coach breaks it down pretty good.
And it seemed like, the more they went to the air, the more you guys were able to penetrate and get into the backfield. Was there something that you were able to key on to let you know pre-snap whether it was going to be a run or a pass?
Wherever the running back lines up, if he's on our left side, it's going to be a run. And if there's a wing attached, it's going to be a run probably. Otherwise, just read the guards. It'll tell you right there.
So couple of times in this game we saw Girard defensively was able to get into a pile, grab somebody running the ball, and just kind of rip it right out of their hands for the strip fumble there. Is that something that you guys think you guys are going to maybe focus on a little bit more in practice this week?
I think we're going to work on that quite a bit this week.
And how good does it feel for you? Had a couple of tough losses in their middle of the season. You come out, you end the season on a 4-game winning streak, got a lot of momentum going into the playoffs.
It feels really good to have this going into the playoffs, getting us ready, working hard, keep fighting those battles, and then we're ready.
And so Cody and I were talking, and it looks like most likely you guys are going to be the number 3 seed coming in, and potentially could set up another rematch with Reynolds with the way the seeding may come out. Would be 5 years in a row now, we think, against those guys. How much would you like to have another playoff game against Reynolds?
I'd like to beat them. They've kicked our butts every time, so it'd feel pretty good to start out the playoffs with a victory over them.
And I know your team has said, as we stopped on our camp tour, the goal this season was to get back to that D10 championship game and win. Coming into the postseason now, you got a quarterfinal match. You'll find out this weekend against 2. What do you have to do to not only advance in that game, but get back to the D10 championship?
It's definitely not our football ability, but we just need to focus on our jobs, do everything right, and rely on trust on each other.
All right, that's our Allegheny Grill of Foxburg player of the game, Eisenhower's Tucker Lindell. Tucker, congratulations and good luck in the playoffs.
Thank you.
Speaking of playoffs, Andy, do you have any insight on the District 10 seedings?
I do. So it's looking like you're in class. We've kind of touched on 1 and 2A already. Looks like Lakeview, despite their loss last night to Franklin's a class 4A or 3A school. So I think, and Lakeview has a head-to-head over Cambridge Springs. Cambridge Springs finishes 9-1, Lakeview 8-2. It will be interesting to see what they do there. I think my guess is Lakeview will be the 1, Cambridge Springs the 2, and then as those guys alluded to, Eisenhower probably the 3 seed there. In the Class A bracket with maybe Mercer as a number 4 seed. In Class 2A, Farrell, who we heard from earlier, and Mercyhurst Prep are going to be the top 2 seeds. Farrell 9-1, Mercyhurst Prep 9-0 did not play Week 10 game, but really the arrow's kind of been pointing towards those 2 teams for a while. You got Wilmington and Sharpsville there as well, but I think everyone's kind of looking forward to a Farrell Mercyhurst Prep showdown if we get that in 2A. 3A is where it gets really interesting. So they're going to take 8 teams will go. And I think the top 6 in some form or fashion were already decided going into week 10. The top 4 seeds, I'm curious to see how they seed them, are going to be in some order: Hickory, Sharon, Northeast, and Grove City. Grove City being the 2-time defending District 10 champion. Oil City and Fort LaBeouf, I think, are locked into the 5 and 6. Oil City finished 6 and 3. Did not play a Week 10 game. Fort LaBeouf beat Sharpsville last night to get to 7 and 3. So they're there. So really, you had going into Week 10 3 teams fighting for those 2 remaining spots. And to be perfectly honest, I'm not exactly sure what they're going to do here. Fairview, General McLean, and Titusville all finish at 6 and 4. General McLean holds a head-to-head win over Fairview, but Fairview finished with the better region record than McLean. And then you have Titusville. Obviously, those 2 teams in Region 5. Titusville in Region 4. I'm not going to predict. Well, let's have fun. Let's predict. My gut feeling is they're going to take both Fairview and McLean, and Titusville will be the team left out. I think just based on strength of schedule and several other factors there. It kind of the bottom of Titusville's Region 4 really, kind of down with teams like Warren and Connie being a little down. But that's kind of my gut feeling there. And then of course only the 2 4A teams, Meadville and Corey, will play for the 4A title. McDowell and Erie will play for the 6A title, and then Cathedral Prep, obviously the only Class 5A team. And we kind of touched on they'll have a bye next week and then play the District 6 winner, either Hollidaysburg or Central Mountain.
It'll be interesting to see how that all shakes up. And last thing, is there any other games in District 10 that kind of stood out to you?
Yeah, much as I highlighted Bradford in District 9, a very similar story in District 10. Franklin did not win a game last year, came into the season on a lengthy losing streak. They also finished with 4 wins, picked up their 4th win of the season last night. So shout out to the Knights. Matt Turk, really one of the good guys in the business, coach for Franklin. So very happy for them. And just looking across the board, nothing really too surprising. We touched Titusville needed to beat Corey to stay in that playoff conversation, got that win. And other than that, maybe the only thing I want to touch on, Northeast, a 51-19 winner over Reynolds to finish the regular season 8 and 2. And I think Northeast coach Joe Von Johnson probably on the short list for District 10 Coach of the Year. Quite a turnaround up there.
Awesome. A lot of awesome stuff happening in District 9 and District 10. Playoffs are among us. We got it's going to be November, and we're going to be in November football already.
It's hard to like we open the show. It's hard to believe, but this is this is one of the best times of the year, and I know you're looking forward to it just like I am.
Yeah, I can't wait to see how it all unfolds. But from us today, I just want to give another shout out to all of our sponsors that we have: Generational Wealth Management, Allstate, David Jones Agency, Cole Orthodontic Associates, Allegheny Electric, Allegheny Grill of Foxburg, SFPC, and Tap and Play Plus. Andy, this has been an awesome season, awesome year doing the show, and we'll be back for another. Probably going to keep doing the show next year, right? I think I'm up. Oh, there he is.
There I am.
There you are. Yeah, this has been. I don't know if you heard what I said, but I said this has been an awesome show this year, and hopefully we can continue this again next year. Absolutely,
it's been a blast. Love. You and I, and then when Chris and Brian can join us, just coming in and breaking down everything that went on. And one more shout out before we go to, there was a Thursday night game. Coudersport beat Cowanesque Valley to close the regular season on Thursday at 7 and 3. So the Falcons will go into the playoffs on a 5-game winning streak. But just to build on that last point there, Jared, yeah, it's been a ball. I know you and I just love coming in here, talking shop, breaking down everything that went on the night before, and just been a lot of fun. Yeah, for sure. But that's all we got for this morning's show. Congrats to everyone who won last night. Everyone get ready for the playoffs next week, and everyone enjoy the rest of your day.